This instructional video will show you how to determine an electron configuration when given an element. In order to do that, in addition to the name of the elements, you'll need a periodic table handy so that you can do counting and identify whether or not things are in the S block, P block, D block, or F block. So first we have arsenic, and the first thing we want to do is determine a location in the periodic chart. And we see that's in row 4. Arsenic is in the P block, and it's in column 3. The next thing we do is identify the noble gas core. It's argon. And then we can write out the configuration. We have our argon noble gas core. And according to Aufbau, we have to start by filling in our 4s completely, 4s2. 3d fills in completely, that's 3d10. And then we get to 4p, 3. Because it's in the P block, we don't have to worry about any of our rules about exceptions. Up next is chromium. And its location is in the 4th row. So that's row 4. It's in the D block. And it's in column 4. We go looking for a noble gas core. It also is argon. And then we want to write out the configuration. So that's an argon core. The 4s2 fills up first. And then we have 3d4. And we want to check to see if it's an exception. If you have a periodic chart handy with configurations on it, you'll see that this is an exception. And so this is one of those things that you'll just have to learn and memorize. And because it's an exception, the true configuration then is 4s1, 3d5. So this is a case where the exception comes into play. So that is incorrect, and this is the correct one. Now, let's see what happens with gold. Its location we want to look on the chart and find its row. It's row 6. It is also in the D block. And the column we find it in is column 9. Continuing to look at the periodic chart, we find that its noble gas core is xenon. And we can now write out the configuration. We have a xenon core, and according to the Aufbau principle, the next thing we find is 6s2, and then 4f14, and 5d9. Again, because this is D block, we need to check to see if it's an exception. It turns out this is an exception. So this configuration is not correct. The true configuration requires that we borrow an electron from the 6s. We're going to leave the 4f14 alone, but we will have 5d10. And so in this case, the configuration based solely on the rules is wrong, and our exception tells us what we should have. In this case, that's how we find our electronic configurations.